If you're scrolling through endless listings of electric fireplaces and still can't decide which one actually makes sense for your space, this review should clear that up. I've spent the last few weeks testing a few models and reading what real owners are saying, and I think I've found a solid middle ground. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Real Flame Alcott is the kind of unit that promises a real-looking fire without the hassle of wood, gas, or a bulky heater. At 75 inches wide, it fills a wall with a fireplace-sized visual that can be the focal point of a living room, bedroom, or even a large hallway. What most shoppers worry about is whether the visual appeal translates into real heat, and whether the unit will look convincing enough not to feel like a TV screen playing a loop. First off, the look. The Alcott uses a layered log set and a LED flame effect that mimics the flicker of actual wood. In my living room test, the flame pattern stayed irregular enough that you don't spot the repeat after a few minutes. When you dim the room lights, the fire becomes the centerpiece, and the built-in mantle gives you a ready surface for family photos or a couple of scented candles. That visual authenticity is where the Alcott pulls ahead of many cheaper models that rely on static glass or low-resolution LEDs. Now for the heat. The unit doubles as a replaceable insert heater, meaning you can turn on the warming function independently of the flame effect. In a 12-foot by 15-foot bedroom, setting the thermostat to 70 F raised the ambient temperature by about 5 degrees after an hour. That's respectable for an electric fireplace and enough to take the edge off a chilly night without cranking the central HVAC system. The remote control and timer make it easy to set a schedule. You can have it start a half hour before you get home and turn off automatically when you go to bed. Practical strengths are easiest to see when you think about everyday life. The Alcott's safety features include an automatic shut-off if the unit overheats, and the surface stays cool enough that you can place a small plant on the mantle without worrying about scorch marks. Because it's electric, installation is as simple as plugging it into a standard 120V outlet and mounting it on the wall. No venting, no gas line, no chimney. For renters or anyone hesitant about permanent modifications, that convenience is a huge win. On the downside, the size can be a double-edged sword. At 75 inches, the unit commands a lot of wall real estate, which means you need a sizable opening or a custom surround. If you have a small apartment or a narrow hallway, the Alcott will dominate the space and may feel out of proportion. Also, while the heat output is decent, it's not a primary space heater. In a large open-plan area, you'll still need supplemental heating to keep the whole room comfortable. Finally, the LED flame looks great from a distance but can appear a little flat if you sit just a foot or two away for an extended period. It's still a simulation, after all. Who should buy this? If you're someone who wants a real-looking fire for ambience, you have a wall that can accommodate a 75-inch unit, and you'd like the occasional boost of warmth without dealing with wood, gas, or a bulky traditional heater, the Alcott fits nicely. It also appeals to families with kids because the surface stays cool and the flame effect eliminates the risk of open fire. Home office workers who spend a lot of time near a wall will appreciate the subtle heat while looking at a soothing fire, which can actually improve focus for some people. Who should skip it? If you live in a studio or a tiny bedroom where a 75-inch installation would overwhelm the space, you might be better off with a smaller tabletop electric fireplace or a wall-mounted unit under 50 inches. Likewise, if you need a primary heat source for a cold climate, you'll want a dedicated space heater or a forced air system. The Alcott's heat is supplemental at best. Lastly, if you're looking for a high-tech, programmable fire with multiple flame colors and sound effects, this model keeps things simple and might feel a bit basic. A hidden trade-off that many reviewers miss is the replaceable insert heater. The unit comes with a standard heating element, but Real Flame sells a higher output insert for an extra cost. If you anticipate needing more heat in the future, you can upgrade without buying a whole new fireplace. That flexibility adds a bit of future-proofing, but it also means you need to factor in the potential extra expense later on. Another real-world consideration is the noise level. The fan that circulates warm air runs quietly enough that you won't hear it over a conversation, but if you're a light sleeper, the faint hum can be noticeable when the unit is on high heat. In my experience, setting the heat to a moderate level kept the fan quieter while still delivering enough warmth for a cozy evening. Overall, the